Ooh, welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. Thanks for checking the podcast out here on the CLNS Radio Network, the leading online provider of audio-video coverage for New England professional sports. Rainy day here from the Hoboken studios in New Jersey. Little rain's not going to stop the podcast from happening, though. Hope you enjoyed last week's podcast with NBA TV's Jared Greenberg. Really fascinating guy. If you missed it, you can go download it on the CLNS Radio free mobile podcast app. That app is available for both iOS and Android. Check that out. Check us out on social media. My handle is @TerrificTalkTom. Check out the network's handle @CLNS Radio. Today, I have a tremendous guest, NBA insider Tim MacMahon. If you like the NBA, he's a must follow. He does a great job. He's based out of Dallas. He's on the road right now covering the Oklahoma City Thunder and Russell Westbrook's amazing season. Let me bring in Tim MacMahon here. Tim, first off, welcome to Terrific Talk. You got your start at ESPN Dallas in 2009. What was that whole process like for you? How did you get the job?
So when ESPN was launching local sites in Dallas in particular, they hired Barry Vigoda, who they hired him to be the managing editor of the ESPN Dallas site. He was my editor at the Dallas Morning News. He was the web editor at the Dallas Morning News. You know, I had gone from covering high schools to briefly on colleges to being the sports blogger, doing Cowboys and Mavericks, Little Rangers, still some colleges, but really kind of Cowboys Mavericks intensive. And he was my editor. And so when he got the job, he brought me along with him. That's also how he brought Calvin Watkins on board at the time.
Yeah.
Richard Dirk, same type deal. So we were kind of the three original employees. And again, it was not a situation where there was a long drawn out interview process. It was, they hired a guy who we had worked for. He appreciated our work, and he basically brought us with him.
For young aspiring NBA reporters out there, what's the best piece of advice you can offer them?
You know what? It's interesting. I would say for any reporter, the best advice that I can offer is to get as much experience as possible and as varied experience as possible. There's no such thing as kind of a one-trick pony today. Like, even if you're working for a newspaper, you're not working for a newspaper. You're working for the newspaper. You're working for the website. A lot of these newspapers are going to have TV tie-ins, or you can maybe get your own TV work on the side. Same with radio. At ESPN, obviously there's radio, there's TV, there's podcasting, there's writing for the web, there's writing for magazines. You have to be able to do as much as possible, and all the different kind of writing. There's kind of the takeout project feature writing. There is the analysis. Breaking news, frankly, is probably the most important thing, and that's much more about learning how to report, learning how to develop sources, than it is about necessarily writing prose. But in this business, you have to be as well-rounded as possible. You have to try to be a jack of all trades, because again, I really don't think that there's people who are making a living in journalism today, especially in sports journalism, that can say, well, I just write for the newspaper, or I'm only a feature writer. That's very rare.
You got to be a jack of all trades. What do you like doing best? Do you like breaking news, feature stories, analysis? What's your favorite to do?
You know what? My favorite would probably be the stories where you can work on them for a few months. The long takeout type of stories. Those are fun. They're very rewarding, especially when the finished project. And I'm fortunate to be able to work with Henry Abbott on some of those kind of stories. And he's a phenomenal editor, a guy who really kind of challenges you to be the best, a guy who's got a really good feel for kind of how those stories, how to tell those stories, and how to edit those stories. So those are the ones that I enjoy the most. But I will say this: it's not like ESPN saying, "Hey, you've got 3 months, just work on that story." You're kind of steadily working on that story while doing everything else in your job on a day-to-day basis.
You've covered Dirk for many years being in Dallas. He's about to finish up his 19th season in the NBA. Unbelievable. How long do you think Dirk's going to play? And to you, what makes Dirk so special?
You know what? He said this 1,000 times. He's going to play as long as it's fun and as long as his body allows him to. And, you know, it was interesting. I sat down with him last week, and obviously this season has not gone how they hoped. Frankly, the last 6 years now have not gone how he's hoped in terms of finally got to that championship mountain, and they haven't won a playoff series since then. Now they're, you know, lottery bound. But he's talking about how much fun it is to go to the gym and see guys like Harrison Barnes and Yogi Ferrell and Dwight Powell and some of the undrafted rookies, you know, and you know, the work they're putting in and kind of being a mentor to them. So he's still enjoying his job. I really think it's going to be a matter of how long his body lets him do it. You know, he dealt with the Achilles stuff this season. At some point, everybody's body at some point says, hey, you can no longer play in the NBA. And I think that's probably what's going to make the decision for Dirk. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if he comes back for a 21st season. You know, maybe even, I don't know, 22 is probably pushing it because I think the body will tell him no by then. But I by no stretch of the imagination do I think people should look at next season as Dirk's farewell, because, you know, I would say coin flip on that being his final season. And, you know, what makes him special, I mean, from a basketball perspective, you can answer that. You've seen him. You know, there's never been a 7-footer with his skills and his ability to shoot and kind of his offensive variety in the history of the league, 30,000 plus points and all that. But honestly, I think what makes him unique is he is the most genuine, humble, living legend that I've ever been around, ever seen.
What's he like behind the scenes?
He's a trip. I mean, he is, you know, he's a guy who, he's got 30,000 plus points, and you can bust his balls like, you know, he's a guy that you grew up with. And
nice.
and he's going to give it back to you, you know, and guys like, I mean, he's a locker room prankster, jokester. You know, guys like, you know, I mentioned like Yogi Ferrell can talk trash to Dirk, right? A guy who got to Dallas on a 10-day contract in the middle of the season. Well, Dirk's going to go after him and get on him, and Yogi can give it right back to him. He is, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's egoless, because you can't score as many points as Dirk has and not have an ego, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but he is as self-deprecating as any superstar I think that there's ever been in sports, and you know, just and a good dude. I mean, he does stuff that people never hear about, you know, like a lot of these guys. Just great in the community, a genuinely good person, and just a fun guy to be around, frankly.
Real quick, today's opening segment is powered by the SeatGeek ticketing app. You know SeatGeek, the smartest and easiest way to buy and sell sports and concert tickets. Get a $20 rebate on your first purchase by downloading the free SeatGeek app to your phone. Just go to the settings tab and click add a promo code and enter the code Garden Report, all one word, for a $20 rebate so SeatGeek knows who sent you.
Dennis Rodman just coming out and saying LeBron James resting shows he's not Michael Jordan. What do you make of this whole NBA stars resting controversy?
Well, LeBron James isn't Michael Jordan. He's LeBron James. And you know what? That's not a bad guy to be. You know, the good old days stuff, I get it. I mean, I understand. But you could also argue, well, Michael Jordan rested for a season and a half in his prime, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't play a season. He didn't play a season and a half, and you know, I don't think this is going to change. I mean, it's up to and to me, like when you talk about Adam Silver and the memo that he sent out, as far as like resting guys during the marquee games, hey, I'm an ESPN employee. You know, my 401k is Disney stock. I 100% agree with you. I want those ratings to be through the roof. Trust me.
Yeah.
But it's on the NBA office as much as it's on the individual teams. You've got to schedule them like marquee games. Don't put them on back-to-backs. Don't put them at the end of long, grueling road trips. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about reduction of the schedule. You know, Tom Haberstroh, my colleague, just had a really interesting story on that. I don't think that's going to be something that the owners go for.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the NBA, and they're stretching the season out a week, which helps a little bit. But again, I think it's on the NBA office to schedule as smartly as possible, to put teams in position where they don't have to make decisions that are in the best interest of players, but not in the best interest of the league's business.
Guys, I got to tell you about Audible. Audible is the leading provider for premium digital spoken audio information and entertainment on the internet. Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks and other audio products. Users can sign up as an Audible listener, which gives them book credits and access to short programs, now playing in channels each month for a low monthly fee. Customers can download their choices and can access them on their iPhone, Android device, Fire tablet, iPod, or other MP3 player. Support the Terrific Talk podcast and receive a free 30-day trial and free audiobook from Audible. Just go to audible.com/try-now to receive your free trial from Audible today.
I saw you recently wrote about Russell Westbrook's unbelievable season. Can you kind of put this season in perspective? Just how special has it been?
Yeah, I'm on the road trip right now with the Thunder, kind of a little bounce around the country, little 4-city week-long road trip, and it's fun being around Russ.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, think about what he's doing. He is leading the NBA in scoring while averaging a triple-double. And look, okay, so are some of the rebounds, padded, and or is it, like are his teammates letting him get free? Fine. I don't give a crap.
Yeah,
he's
still winning
leading
games.
The league in scoring while averaging a triple-double. It's unbelievable. There's never, ever, ever been a point guard who is as athletic as him, and I don't know if there's ever been one who is as relentless as him. And, I understand the criticism with, okay, sometimes he's kind of playing Rondo-esque type defense, which means sagging off because he'd rather get a rebound than challenge a shot. Okay, That's fine. They're 32-9 when he has triple-doubles. Don't tell me that his production doesn't impact their winning. He's also the best crunch time player in the NBA this season. He has, leading the league in scoring by far. Plus minus is phenomenal. He is the reason the Thunder are the 6th seed in the Western Conference. He's having one of the most remarkable seasons, certainly of my time watching the NBA, and I would say in NBA history. It's funny, so is James Harden. A couple of weeks ago, I said Harden's the MVP, but Russ is closing the season like he closes games, and I think he's overtaken Harden as far as the MVP race goes.
I agree with you. I think he'll be the MVP too. It's tough though. They've both been just unbelievable this year.
There's not a wrong answer.
No, there isn't. It's crazy. This season has just been unbelievable with these individual performances. Tim, thank you so much for coming on today. This was awesome. Everybody check Tim out on ESPN. Check him out on Twitter. He's a great follow. His handle is @ESPN_MacMahon. Tim, thanks again for everything. Good luck on the road trip.
No problem. Appreciate you having me.